Just a quick knife safety tip. Whenever you're slicing something, make sure that you curl your hand in and put it on here so we don't chop any fingers off. And run your knife through things. So rather than chopping, a lot of times we see it on TV, and believe me, it's just acting. Don't just chop like this. It's actually kind of dangerous to do that, and it dulls your knife, and you get microscopic pits in your knife. So you're actually not doing your knife any favors by doing that. And I mean, it really just makes a fancy noise. Run it through like this. Again, it's a much more controlled cut, and it keeps your knife in better shape as well.
So,
all right, sorry.
No. So what we'd love for you guys to do, we will definitely make a list of things for you. But think, I want you guys to also think of what your staples, because your staples are going to be specific to you. Yeah. So think about 5 staples of things that you want to do. And, a lot of things say chicken. I agree with you. Who said chicken? Who said chicken breast? Chicken breast. I agree with you. Let's say it's chicken wings. And chicken wings are expensive, right? You could do the same, but drumsticks are cheap.
Like
Party wings. But you know that drumsticks are cheap, too. The same things you could do with chicken wings, you could do with drumsticks. If you can't afford drumsticks. Because it did get expensive at one point where it was ridiculous.
Right.
So you can mix and match your meats. So it's all about knowing what your staples, knowing what you're going in. Get those staples first, and then you get your extra stuff. Then you're like, okay, maybe I can go after my salmon and asparagus tips, whatever.
I love that. Listen, I'm coming to eat in her dorm room.
But like you said, someone said a tuna melt, which sounds really good. I could eat a tuna melt. It was you, right? I could eat a tuna melt at least 2 or 3 times a week. When I was in college, tuna was my go-to, period, because it was cheap.
Yes, me too.
And you could do so many things with it. You can make a salad. You could put a salad in it. So you could do with chips. So you got to look at your staples that you can, like what we were trying to show you today was, we want you to show you all the things we have are staples and that you could do several different meals with. So that's what you want to do. If you don't do, like, cereal also was a staple for me, because cereal was a...
I just started drooling. I love cereal.
Me too.
But cereal, there's been times where I'm like, okay, I don't feel like cooking. I'm going to eat a bowl of cereal. And it's probably not the best thing to do, but it still was a staple. And you got to think of those staples and think of those things. And then, like someone said, where'd she go? She said ramen was a staple. There's so many things you can do with ramen. And we talked about it, we didn't talk about it today, and there's healthy ways to do ramen, because ramen can have a lot of sodium in it.
Yes, so don't use the packet. Get chicken broth or vegetable broth or whatever you prefer. Throw the packet out, or only use half the packet. So it's very, very high in sodium. But ramen noodles, you can add vegetables to it. It's one of my favorite meals, and I'll still eat this sometimes, honestly. I just eat a different kind of ramen now. I found one that's a protein-based. But you can eat regular ramens. I used to add rotel tomatoes, a little bit of spinach, some chicken broth, and just some seasonings. I know, fancy it up, and that was one of my favorite soups. So I ate that a lot, and sometimes I would add, maybe a canned vegetable soup. Sometimes I just added frozen vegetables, mixed vegetables, California-style vegetables, whatever you like. I've done Southwest-style vegetables with it. And then, just kind of season it up however you want to. You can add an egg to it and make kind of an egg drop base. Now you've added some protein. You can add pork to it. You can add chicken to it. You can, if you don't want to cook chicken, grab a rotisserie chicken. That's something that you can just shred up and keep in the refrigerator. You can use that for sandwiches. You can use it in ramen noodles. So always looking for things that you can buy once, prepare, or just have available, and then use it throughout the week. Everyone seems surprised by this. I use my kitchen scissors to cut my chicken up. It's just easier, particularly if it's not frozen. Sometimes I will freeze my chicken, and then when it's not quite thawed, but it's still just a little bit frozen,
it's easier to cut.
It's not as slimy. It's a little bit easier to cut. But kitchen scissors are a wonderful thing for cutting up chicken into small cubes. So I'm going to give you a little tip that hopefully will save a few fire alarms. And that is, I like to use a lot of olive oil in my cooking. But olive oil has a really low smoke point, meaning that if you get this pan really hot and then you put olive oil on it and you throw something on it, it's going to smoke very quickly. If you add a couple of pats of butter to it, which is what we're going to do tonight, it brings that smoke point up and it's not going to smoke as fast. So your food has a little bit of time to, I don't know why this is not working yet, has a little bit of time before it starts, filling up everything and we're all standing out on the boardwalk.
Again.
Right. I know, right. So next time, you don't have to add a lot of butter. You just need a little bit. We're cooking a lot here, so I'm adding 2 pats of butter. But you really, just 1 pat of butter in the amount of olive oil that you're cooking will do the trick. It doesn't have to be a lot. Never use margarine. Margarine is very high in hydrogenated fats, and you don't want to add that in there. Stick with real butter. It's actually not as bad for you as people think it is, unless you're going to eat sticks of it. Don't do that. So when it comes to chicken, any kind of poultry, turkey, chicken, and pork, you want to make sure that you're really... Pork you can do at a lower temperature. Any poultry, you want to make sure you get to 165 degrees. So normally I would have a thermometer out here, but when you're doing small chunks like this, it's really hard to get an accurate temperature on this. So your rule of thumb is going to be no pink. You don't want any pink in chicken ever. Pink is not good. You don't want to dry it out, but you also don't want to have too much. And you want to really give it a minute to cook before you start stirring it. So put it in there, let it sit for a few minutes, like a good 3 minutes, and then flip it. So we want to sear it. In fact, now that I know it's not going to really smoke up, I'm going to put this up on sear just because we're going to go a little faster. But give it a good sear on there first. We're going to cook our protein first, and then we're going to take it out and put it in a container for a moment, and we're going to do our vegetables separate. And the order we're going to do those in is we're going to do our onions and peppers first, and that's just because they take a little bit longer to cook. I don't like squash to get squishy, so I don't cook that as long. I just give that a quick saute just to, kind of get it in the butter, get the seasonings in there, and heat it up, heat it through, but don't let it get, don't let it get too squishy. And then we're going to add our chicken back in and we're going to put our pesto in. You can season your chicken ahead of time. We're not seasoning, we didn't season it ahead of time here. We're going to add a little bit in as it's cooking. Totally up to you on that. Again, you're kind of seasoned to what your taste is. If you like a lot of garlic, put a lot of garlic. If you don't like garlic, don't put garlic in it. I love adobo. We have this one, so we're going to put a little bit of that. I know, who doesn't love that one?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, yes. If you don't have this in your kitchen, go get some. It's like an everything seasoning, right? I know. I actually really do love this one. When I use it, they do actually have a salt-free version if you want to get that. I just don't put salt when I'm using a lot of it because it's got a lot of salt in it. I don't know if you guys like a lot of pepper, but I'm a pepper girl. So again, that's where I say, if you like pepper, put the amount of pepper you like. I'm like the girl at Olive Garden that's like, keep going. What was that?
I had a question.
You could, in this same recipe, you could put any meat in here. You could do a red meat, you could do pork, you could do shrimp, whatever protein you want to put in there will actually lend itself to this. I like shrimp in it, actually. And sometimes, I heard a lot of people say sausage. Sometimes I'll use these same vegetables and I'll put kielbasa, shrimp, and chicken in it. And instead of using adobo, I'll use Cajun seasoning. Same thing, and then I leave the pesto out and I use something else. So you're just really changing up the seasonings. So see how we're kind of trying to get a brown sear on here? And then we're going to turn it over. Yeah, like about 3 minutes, but enough time that you're really trying to get that, see how some of these are brown. Yeah. Not all of them are. We probably could have left it even like another minute or so. The main thing here is you're looking for no pink. So we want to make sure we get to no pink at all. The way I make sure of that is I kind of look for my largest piece in here. You want to try to get as uniform as you possibly can. But then I look for my largest piece, and that's my tester. So I'll cut it in half. I'll just take my knife, put it over on a plate, cut it in half, and make sure there's no pink in that. And if that one's good, then the rest of them are likely going to be good. But you want to try to get as consistent in the sizes as you can. See how most of these are pretty much right at about a half to an inch. Keep them as consistent as you can. Don't worry if they're not, The main thing is you're trying to have even cooking. So that's why you try to look for the same size. We're going to do the onions and peppers first. If there's anyone who doesn't want onions, we can try to do one without onions. I know, this one actually is really good with onions. So I'm one of those people who, I don't like onions in my eggs. We already established that. But I do, onion gives things a flavor that sometimes they just really need. And then I just won't eat the onion if I don't want it at the time. So we're going to put a little bit of onion, and we're looking at just to get translucent. So we're just going to saute these for a couple of minutes just to kind of let them get soft. And then we're going to add the other vegetables in. Saute them for a couple of minutes, and then we'll add our chicken back in, our pesto. We do have some Parmesan cheese if you would like to add some. And then we'll give everybody a taste of everything. What time is it?
Yeah, it does.
So see how these are kind of getting, I'm actually cooking this a little high, but see how they're starting to get translucent? I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah. But that's what we're looking for. And now we're going to make this thing. I just made it turn off.
Oh, because you lift it up?
Yes. This hot plate doesn't like for me to lift the pan. It yells at me. It's like, no, error. You can't get all fancy on this one, no. It's like, no, we're not fancy here. So to this, we're just going to add, just like we did with the chicken, we're going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper to it. Instead of salt, we're going to use adobo again, just to keep it consistent.
Did I do this wrong? I think I did it wrong. I'm sorry.
It's okay. The tinier, sometimes. I like my vegetables small. Sometimes.
I'm not a trained chef, so don't expect my cuts to be as amazing as hers.
So you cook for 6?
Yeah, I do. But they're not looking at my...
He's cooking for way more people than me. Cooking for 4.
You listened, didn't you? You heard me. Yes, frozen veggies is my favorite.
Frozen vegetables are a really good way to add nutrition in because when usually those are flash frozen, so it doesn't take a lot of the nutrients out. People worry about canning and freezing and all those things, but the way it's done commercially, it doesn't really take any nutrients out, and it's a really good way, especially in the winter time when you can't get fresh vegetables. The wonderful thing about being in New Jersey in the summertime is that we have access to a lot of really fresh vegetables. It's a little more difficult in the winter, so frozen vegetables are a perfect choice. And you can use canned as well. Canned, listen, you're still eating the rainbow, so, you can still get a lot out of that. And you'll find what you prefer. You can use dried beans. I like to use a lot of dried beans. I'll actually use a lot of, I like frozen peas, but I like canned beans if I'm going to use beans. Black beans, we always have cans of black beans in my house.
The dry beans take a while to cook too.
They do. You have to soak them overnight or soak them or bring them up to a boil.
Yeah.
Let them soak for about a half hour
so the
until they
beans
cool
are so
off
much
and then
better.
go.
Yeah.
All right, so like I said, we're not going to saute this squash too much. I want to keep it kind of crispy, but I want to really get the flavor on there and get it heated through. And then we're going to add our chicken in and our basil pesto, which I don't think I got out yet. Yeah, the basil pesto. Thanks.
It's in a jar.
Yes, I know. We didn't make this fresh. You can make it fresh, and it's wonderful fresh, but again, once we get to times of year where it's difficult to find, thank you, a lot of basil, because it's really a summer herb, unless you're growing it inside, which you guys all have your seeds, so you can grow your own. And I gave you a different kind. I believe it's purple basil that's in most of those boxes. Really beautiful. But when you can't find basil, jarred it's a good substitute. You know. This one's just great value brand.
Put them in
Yeah.
the thing, so it's
I usually
almost
get mine
like,
at Sam's, so kind of the same thing, same company, probably made by the same people.
You just pack it up. so
I'm not super picky on that as long
issue-
as
I'll wait
it's
because
using pretty much the
issue
same
is
ingredients. There are a
pick
lot
and
of different
choose what
ways you
they
can
want,
make your
but I
own
wanna wait
pesto
until she's done.
with different ingredients that you can get at almost any grocery store. Sometimes they use sun-dried tomatoes instead of basil, and I use walnuts instead of pine nuts. Then same cheeses, same. So pine nuts are usually, or I don't know, there's, yes, same thing. Same nut, different name. But, you know, so depending on what you're adding to it, you can change things up. So sometimes I add a little spinach to it or parsley if I have a little basil, but I don't have a lot of basil. So you just get a really fresh taste from that. Lots of different ways to switch it up. Everyone thinks pesto has to be basil, cheese, garlic, and pine nuts, but it actually doesn't have to be. All right, now the trick here when you're cooking this much is just to not.
You didn't dump that directly because there's a lot of extra juice that you don't
Right.
want, right?
Yes. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's a lot of juice left in here that I didn't really want to add back in. So that's why I kind of spooned it out and put it back in here. And then we're just going to stir it up, add the pesto, and we're all done. We're ready to go. And I will make a vegetable version for anyone who doesn't want it with chicken. So this one's just slightly different. We added some spinach to it.
You good?
And I'm going to add some scallions to it.
You could scrape that.
What you want? Yeah, you can get. We're almost out of vegetables. This one. But-
Otherwise, same base: onions, peppers, yellow squash, zucchini, and I'll use the same
then I'll give this the
seasonings.
rest to her then. Is that good?
Just added a little spinach
'Cause I
to it.
didn't want. She's making more vegetables.
All right.
So I'll put yours to your side, okay?
Thank you.
Ooh, come on.
All right, we're all ready.
You can't take it with me. I can't take it with me. Oh,